The Haunting of Whispering Pines. As the crackling flames of our campfire danced in the night, casting eerie shadows upon the towering trees, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. We were a group of friends, eager for adventure, out in the wilderness for a weekend of camping and bonding. Little did we know we had set up our camp close to an old cemetery, hidden deep within the forest. The air was thick with anticipation as we swapped scary ghost stories and roasted marshmallows, oblivious to the history that surrounded us. The forest seemed to come alive with every gust of wind, whispering secrets of the past that we were too naive to comprehend. As the night wore on, strange occurrences began to unfold. Unexplained noises echoed through the darkness, causing unease to settle among us like a thick fog. Branches snapped under an unseen weight, and shadows danced just beyond the reach of our fire's glow. I brushed off the feeling of dread that crept up my spine, attributing it to the overactive imaginations of a group of friends in the wilderness. But as the hours passed, I couldn't ignore the sense of foreboding that hung heavy in the air. It wasn't until the early hours of the morning that we discovered the truth. One of our friends, adventurous and curious, had wandered off into the forest in search of firewood. When he failed to return, we grew concerned and set out to find him. As we ventured deeper into the woods, our flashlights illuminating the tangled underbrush, we stumbled upon the forgotten cemetery. Tombstones, weathered and worn with age, stood like silent sentinels in the moonlight, marking the resting places of those long gone. But our search for our missing friend led us to a chilling discovery. He stood in the center of the cemetery, his eyes vacant and unseeing, muttering words that sent shivers down our spines. It was as if he were possessed, consumed by the spirits of the past that lingered in the air. With trembling hands, we pulled him away from the graveyard, back to the safety of our camp. But the events of that night haunted us long after we returned home. The memory of the cemetery, hidden deep within the forest, served as a reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond the edge of our world. And though we tried to forget, the whispers of the past continued to echo in our minds, a chilling reminder of the night we stumbled upon the haunting of Whispering Pines. As we returned to our campsite, the atmosphere had shifted, thick, with an unsettling tension. The once comforting glow of the campfire now seemed feeble against the oppressive darkness that surrounded us. Our friend's vacant gaze continued to unsettle us, his mutterings growing more frantic with each passing moment. We huddled together, exchanging nervous glances, unsure of what to do next. But even as fear gnawed at our insides, a sense of determination washed over us. We refused to let the darkness consume us, refused to surrender to the unknown forces that lurked in the shadows. With trembling hands, we stoked the fire, its flames roaring to life in a defiant display of light and warmth. We formed a circle around our friend, offering words of comfort and support, hoping to break through the darkness that had ensnared him. But as the night dragged on, our efforts seemed futile. The whispers of the past grew louder, their words twisting and contorting into a cacophony of eerie voices that filled the air. It was then that we realized the true nature of the cemetery we had stumbled upon. It was not just a resting place for the dead, but a gateway to a realm beyond our understanding, a realm inhabited by restless spirits trapped between the worlds of the living and the dead. With a sense of urgency, we gathered our belongings, determined to leave the cursed forest behind us. But as we made our way through the darkness, the forest seemed to conspire against us, its twisted branches reaching out like gnarled fingers to drag us back into the abyss. Just when it seemed that all hope was lost, a glimmer of light appeared on the horizon, signaling the dawn of a new day. With renewed determination, we pressed on, pushing through the darkness until we finally emerged from the forest, battered but alive. As we left the cursed woods behind us, we made a silent vow never to return, to leave the haunting of Whispering Pines behind us forever. But deep down, we knew that the memory of that fateful night would linger with us, a reminder of the darkness that lurks just beyond the edge of our world. Months passed, yet the memory of our harrowing night in the forest continued to haunt us. Our friend, who had been affected by whatever malevolent force dwelled within the cemetery, struggled to find peace, plagued by nightmares and unexplained phenomena. Desperate for answers, we delved into research, scouring old records and local legends in search of clues. What we uncovered only deepened our unease. Whispering Pines had a dark history, one that had been all but forgotten by the passage of time. Tales of curses, tragic deaths, and unexplained disappearances filled the pages of dusty tomes, painting a grim picture of the forest's past. But amid the darkness there was a glimmer of hope. Legend spoke of a guardian spirit, a benevolent force that had long watched over the forest, keeping the malevolent entities at bay. Armed with this newfound knowledge, we embarked on a journey back to Whispering Pines, determined to confront the darkness that had plagued us for so long. Guided by the whispers of the past, we made our way through the forest, the weight of our mission heavy upon our shoulders. As we neared the cemetery, the air grew thick with anticipation. Shadows danced among the tombstones, their movements eerie and otherworldly. But we did not falter. With hearts filled with courage, we pressed on, our resolve unwavering in the face of the unknown. And then, just as we reached the heart of the cemetery, we saw her. A figure bathed in ethereal light, her presence calming and reassuring. She was the guardian spirit, the one who had watched over Whispering Pines for centuries. With a gentle smile, she reached out to us, her touch imbued with a warmth that banished the darkness that had lingered in our hearts for so long. In that moment, we knew that we were safe. The malevolent forces that had tormented us were no match for the power of the guardian spirit. As we made our way out of the forest once more, a sense of peace washed over us, filling us with a newfound hope for the future. Whispering Pines would always hold a place in our memories, but it was no longer a place of fear and darkness. For in the heart of the forest, amid the whispering trees and forgotten graves, we had found something far more powerful, a light that could never be extinguished. Arizona Truck and Ghost. 13 minutes. That's all I have to tell you, the scariest story of my life. It happened on a dark desert night in Arizona, a night I'll never forget. I was driving my truck through the winding roads of the desert, the mountains casting eerie shadows in the moonlight. My destination? A remote campsite nestled in the valley, a place I hoped would offer respite from the long journey ahead. As I navigated the desolate roads, the silence of the desert was broken only by the hum of my engine and the occasional rustle of cactus in the wind. But then, as I rounded a bend in the road, I saw something that made my blood run cold, a figure standing in the middle of the highway, its form obscured by darkness. I swerved to avoid it, but as my headlights pierced the night, the figure vanished into thin air before my eyes. Shaken but determined to press on, I continued my journey, chalking it up to a trick of the desert night. But as I reached the campsite, a feeling of unease settled over me like a heavy blanket. The air seemed to crackle with an otherworldly energy, and the desert landscape took on an eerie glow in the moonlight. Setting up camp, I tried to shake off my sense of foreboding, but it lingered like a shadow at the edge of my consciousness. As I settled in for the night, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that something sinister lurked just beyond the campfire's glow. Then, out of nowhere, a piercing scream shattered the silence, echoing off the canyon walls with bone-chilling intensity. Heart racing, I scrambled to my feet, searching frantically for the source of the sound. And then I saw it, a ghostly figure hovering just beyond the edge of the campsite, its eyes burning with a malevolent light. Frozen in fear, I watched as it beckoned to me, its outstretched hand offering a twisted invitation into the darkness. With a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach, I realized that I had stumbled upon something far more terrifying than I could have ever imagined, a presence that had haunted the valley for centuries, feeding on the fear of those who dared to trespass in its domain. As the ghostly figure drew closer, I felt that my only hope for survival lay in escaping the cursed valley before it was too late. With a prayer on my lips, I revved the engine of my truck and tore off into the night, leaving behind the ghostly apparition and the chilling memory of my encounter in the Arizona desert. And though I escaped with my life, I knew that I would never truly be free from the clutches of the valley's darkest secret, a scary story that would haunt me until the end of my days.